Hey everyone, I am the Chosen One Legend here, as always joined by my co-host,
Hi, I'm Kai, also known as Fascurreyn.
and welcome back to the BunchaJokahs podcast, where we're here today to talk about, of course, the Mario Brothers movie. It's been a long time coming. You saw everyone's reactions, including our own, when they announced the cast of like Chris Pratt as Mario and Jack Black and everyone. We were just thinking, what on earth is this movie going to be? But it's out now, we've seen it, and we are going to talk all about it now. I think, shall we say full spoilers, Kai, probably? Just to,
Yeah, pretty much
yeah.
full spoilers on this, and
Not
yeah,
that the trailers didn't spoil half the movie anyway, it's an
yeah,
animated film, that's... But, there will be spoiler details. If you haven't seen the film, go watch it, but you probably have. This film is doing ridiculous numbers, so,
hmm
I'm assuming most people out there who are Nintendo fans have it by this point. But
it's
yeah, we're just...
statistically likely.
Yes. But we're just going to give our thoughts. There probably won't be any timestamps in the description, given the
hmm
topic, but there might be. Depends. But let's just get started on this. And Kai, straight off the bat, overall opinion: did you enjoy this film?
I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, same here. It was just a fun animated film of Mario. Like, there are so many ways that this could have gone terribly wrong. Especially, people were worried with Illumination doing it. Like, it's just going to be 40 minutes of Mario and Bowser doing fart jokes or something. And you can
yeah,
understand some of that, but not at all. It's pretty simple. It's nothing mind blowing in terms of plot or anything, but it's just a fun, enjoyable Mario film full of references for the fans, right?
yeah. It's a reference fest.
Yes.
It's a very good one, is the thing. Like, it just had everything packed in there. It had like a lot of the key characters you'd expect, and
Hmm.
it kind of just followed. It followed a line that was very clearly like Mario. It didn't try doing anything too crazy, but at the same time, like it wasn't in a bad way. It just really performed exactly how you'd want it to, and from a
Yeah.
series like Mario, which is like straightforward, but you know exactly what you're getting into and you're going to enjoy it. I mean, the movies sort of received exactly the same as the games. I feel.
Very much so. I mean, like I said a bit ago, there's very little in the way of plot here. Even for like some people might say yes, it's a kids animated film. What are you expecting? But you've got
Mhm.
films like How to Train Your Dragon and whatnot that have these big stories and emotional moments and huge character developments. You're not going to get any of that here. It's very much it's simple. Like, not to say it's devoid of personality or anything like that, because it isn't. It's constantly charming. But the thread it follows, Mario going to defeat Bowser, it doesn't get much more complicated than that. But again, this, like you said, this is coming from the Mario games. It's very faithful to its source material, where you're just Mario defeating Bowser. And the little bits of personality they did give to the characters really makes it still go a long way, especially compared to what we're used to being none. Mario's a blank slate.
Yeah.
And I think as part of that, it's a good point to mention that the voice cast really did a really good job. I always knew, people were freaking out about Chris Pratt as Mario, and it's like, he will be fine, and he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he was just very good. I mean, again, I do actually quite like how they followed the whole thing of they're from Brooklyn, like they're
Yeah.
they are still Italian, but they don't necessarily have the strong accent. Um, so yeah, I thought that Chris did a great job. I thought all of them really. There wasn't any real weak points.
No.
Um, so
And
yeah,
I
nothing to complain about.
and I did like how they got, like, in the initial trailer, the sort of the extended version of the teaser they released on YouTube, where we see them advertising their plumbing service. They did like the voices in that, and that's sort of the reference to there, which was neat. And when they did do it, it sounds good, but of course, you wouldn't want that for a full movie. But even so, I never felt like I was just watching Chris Pratt. It's still, it was believable as Mario. It sort of sold him completely. And it didn't, people were worried about it being bland or, devoid of personality, like he was doing it half-hearted. But I didn't get that impression at all. I think it sold all the moments. It was very high energy performance around of course, Jack Black as well, with his like whole song he did, which
Yeah, oh, that was it. I did not know what I was getting into when that started up. I knew that there was a song,
Yeah.
did not know that that was what it was.
I believe I've heard that Jack Black just improvised it, which you can tell. It's about the most Jack Black thing you'll hear in that film. But it works, and it's
Truly, the
very
School
funny.
of Rock just
Yeah.
hit me.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching it, of course, with Tom, like I've said, who's joined us on the channel before. And we went and watched it yesterday, as we're recording this. And he told me at the end, like, he said halfway through, he literally forgot that Chris Pratt was voicing him.
Yeah.
Like, he just fully did not even remember that that was a thing. I was like, yeah, he did a good job. So,
Exactly it. When it gets to that point when you're not even noticing the actor, that's when they're doing a great job. And it's just that kind of thing where the whole film was just full of so much happening. Like, even though there wasn't much in the sense of wider plot, all the little details, like the animation going into like the background and the entire like world design, it was so bright and colourful. And of course, we sort of alluded to this a minute ago, but so many references. I feel like I could go watch this 5 more times and catch new ones each time I did so. Little things
yeah,
like...
there were certain, like, quick compilations that just held a million things at once.
Yeah,
That was really cool.
any highlights of yours that you noticed, Kai, that you really thought were great?
I think the thing I liked most about all of it is that they didn't just go with retro stuff and they didn't just go with modern stuff. There was a mix of pretty much every single bit of Mario media, all the main bits. So I did really like how, we saw it in the trailers already, but Tostarena appearing as an area, and the Crazy Cat store from Odyssey as well appearing in the Mushroom Kingdom. So it was kind of cool that you had those things, and then obviously you're going to have a lot of the retro stuff as well, and how they represented a lot of that in Brooklyn. And then one of my favourite parts was just the fact that the opening area in the game, the movie, is the Punch-Out bar, or whatever it's called. That was really cool to see all those characters, because I like the Punch-Out series, so...
Of course, yeah, that was really neat. And they also we saw Mario playing Kid Icarus at one point.
Yeah.
There were little
Unfinished
details.
Was very, good. That
Yes.
was a good touch.
With like an R-Wing hanging up in his room as well. And I think I saw an F-Zero poster. There was a lot of smaller little references. But I also want to give a shout out to like the music, of course. Where, we got so many remixes of things from, of course, your sort of like iconic athletic themes from Mario Bros. 3 and 4. Of course, World 1-1. The GameCube startup as Luigi's ringtone was god tier.
Oh, it's so good, yeah.
Yeah. That got me like, that Leonardo DiCaprio pointing meme. I was like that so many times in that theatre. But there was so little attention to detail. What was it? In the end credits, we had Gusty Garden Galaxy playing, which of course is a fantastic tune. The Starman at the end when they powered up. It was like from start to finish, even like little jingles. Some bits you'd get like a 5-second jingle of one of the tunes in the background. It was just, they knew what they were doing. I think, I can't remember the name of the composer, but they did a great job remixing some original stuff in there, and even some, I can't remember the word for it, like real life songs, like Mr. Blue Sky, and that was in there. But
yeah, all the licensed stuff, yeah.
Yeah, licensed stuff, that's the word. But it wasn't like overblown, it sort of was used at the right moment amongst all the Mario traditional songs that you expect. Even things, that's what I was going to say, the Mario Kart menu music when they were building their karts as well.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just listing things off here, but that's it. That's the effect it had.
The score was my favourite part of the film, I think. Like,
it's all on
more than
Spotify.
Anything else. Is it?
Yeah. And maybe...
wow, I'm downloading all of that after this. Okay.
Absolutely, and maybe if they see this goes well, maybe they'll start releasing their game soundtracks on Spotify. Come on, Nintendo. But
that would be nice. Yeah, they knocked it out of the park with all of that. They're just the variety of like every game in the series felt like it had some sort of representation here and there, and it was so hard to keep track of it all. But I mean that in the best way possible. That they just jam packed this with everything you could ever want. And the score was a great representation of that, where even if you like don't necessarily know much about the Mario series, you're going to recognize at least a couple tunes, and you'll still
Yeah,
enjoy the rest of them. Like, even to non-fans, it's still really good, but the reference part of it just adds a little bit extra.
they really have got this perfect balance where it doesn't feel like, I've seen films like, I've never actually seen this film, but like, Ready Player One or something, people criticise for just being let's throw out every single reference we can in here, and there wasn't anything of substance behind it. But that's not the case here, because you've got all of this. But at the same time, like you said, even if you're a kid going to see this for the first time, you've never played a Mario game, you're going to enjoy it. You're still going to have fun with it and enjoy how bright it is and all the jokes in there, which again, they didn't go for like your sort of too basic, toilet humor jokes or whatever. There's actually a lot of good writing in there.
Mm-hmm.
But it also manages to somehow sort of although we said that like the plot wasn't anything special, I did like the arc it goes through with sort of Luigi and Mario teaming up at the end when he sort of gains courage and helps him out and they both get the star together. I thought it had good character moments, even though it was nothing, mind-blowing. Compared to Mario being a lifeless, sort of generic Mr. Video Game man like he always has been.
Yeah.
The fact that we saw sort of his elements of wanting to sort of be more than he is and prove himself, and wanting to Luigi wanting to gain courage and them sort of working together, those sort of elements, as well as, development of Princess Peach being very capable in this, it definitely showed sort of something that I would like to see translate to the games even a little bit. Not that I'm going to say, get Chris Pratt, play Mario the next game. No, I don't want that. But if they could take over a bit of sort of giving Mario a bit more of a character, I honestly think it worked really well here, and I think it could pay off into giving games a bit more of that side to them, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, there's the thing that everyone always brings up, which is the old the Miyamoto interviews about not wanting that much story in his games. But, I think this was a very good show of what they could do if they brought that story back, because Mario's always had bits of personality, but yeah, like he's never really been able to shine like in this as his own character. So I really like that they did that. They gave him depth. I think they did a really good job sort of just portraying all of the characters with not only the expected personality, but also a little more to them. They had their own movie versions of themselves in a way.
Yes, yeah. Which I'm sure we're definitely going to get in sequels with this, with how well it's doing, so I'm sure we'll sort of get more of these and see them develop. But one thing, I guess, before we sort of start to wrap things up a bit, is I sort of want to go over some of my sort of highlight moments of the film, and one thing I want to call out is anytime they did like a gameplay section where it went like a side scroller. There were two main ones, one at the start with the Mario Bros trying to get to a house, and then one towards the end with Mario and Donkey Kong teaming up. But the fact they sort of brought it in to make it bring in that video game aspect of them jumping over obstacles like it's a genuine course, and of course the sort of what we saw in the trailer where Peach was training Mario using a straight up obstacle course with the falling blocks and all the elements you expect. I really appreciated bringing in the video gaminess of Mario as well, so it felt how connected that felt. I thought that was a really fun way of bringing that into it.
Yeah, I really liked how they did that, and just again, it's another form of reference, but in a different way. They're not doing the same thing over and over again. It was a really stylistic way of doing it, actually. So I really appreciated that, and how they kind of tried to bridge the gap between Brooklyn and the Mushroom Kingdom, I guess. Was quite impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a completely new way of doing a sort of an action sequence that we haven't really seen in a film before, at least not that I can think of. Mm-hmm. But are there any standout scenes you want to mention, Kai?
Off the top of my head, I liked the DK fight was interesting, and overall it was like, it was good. My favourite part was when DK picked up the mini mushroom. No, it was when Mario did, actually.
Yes, yeah.
And then anyone, and that's a fun one, because of course it makes for a good joke when he does, eat it and go small. But for anyone who's played, New Super Mario Bros. DS or any other game that has that power up in, I don't know if it's been in any others.
I don't think it has. It's been in the other New Super Mario Bros. Games, I think.
Oh,
maybe.
Yeah. but anyone who's played those and recognizes the mushroom immediately knows what's going to happen.
Yep.
So it's just little things like that. Whenever they did something where, like, you know, it's fun regardless, it's a good gag anyway, but for those who do know, it's even funnier.
Exactly.
I really liked moments like that, and that was kind of an epitome of it.
That was a good section, yeah. I liked the whole... Of course, he came out to the DK rap, which was god tier as well. And we've got like little Diddycon and Dixiecon references in this corner as well as there. And
yeah, you saw all those guys.
the whole Mario Kart section with how they did the blue shell being this big threat that the Koopa turned into. The moment I saw he had like a blue shell on him, I was like, oh, I know where this is going. Like you said, like the mini mushroom, you can tell what's going to happen. But it was a fun way of handling it. And that was pretty much it, start to finish. I do wish that we maybe hadn't seen so much of it in the trailers, because I knew exactly what was going to happen the entire way through. You know, if I hadn't seen like the trailer with them doing the Mario Bros cartoon theme song, I would have been like, oh my god, in the cinema. But I knew it was coming, you know. Yeah. So I get that's sort of the nature of a kids animated film. They tend to do that more. But regardless, it was just a really fun time. And to get towards the end here, I do want to mention that, of course, we got a post-credits tease. Because that's just what they're doing now. Not just Marvel.
I do have a story
Nintendo.
about this, actually.
Oh, go on.
When me and Tom were there, everyone else left the cinema, like...
Oh, yeah.
Immediately. I think there were, like, 1 or 2 people that stayed for the mid-credits, mid-post-credit scene, and then no one stayed for the final one. Like, it was just us two, like... It was completely empty. I don't know, like, if people weren't aware or they didn't care, but, like, it was... I think the cinema was like half full before that. There were like a good 100 people in there. Everyone just walked out. I was like, okay, all right, we get a cinema to ourselves then.
Most of my cinema had left by that point. Although it was largely kids who I guess wouldn't have the patience or care so much.
Yeah,
but there were a few holdouts, and my poor sister, I made her wait with me. I'm sure she didn't really care, but
oh no.
But if you did stay to the end, we of course got our tease of a Yoshi egg about to hatch, which I guess is the direction they're going to take in the next movie then. Which, I mean, he's like the main character left to end. I didn't even think about it, because we only saw like a herd of Yoshis briefly at one point. But of course, like, the Yoshi, the main one, the character, is like the big outlier of the main character we haven't seen yet. So, I think that's going to make for a fun second film. Are you looking forward to that, Kai?
Yeah, I remember, like, at the end of the movie when there's the framed photo of Mario, Luigi, Peach, and DK, and Toad. Yeah, I was looking at that and I was like, yeah, these are like 5 of the main characters in Mario. And then I just sort of thought, well, Yoshi is the one they're really missing. And of course, yeah, like you say, we saw them in the film, but they just weren't really important. So I guess the idea is that for a sequel, Yoshi will join Mario just as a companion.
Yeah.
We don't know if he's going to get a voice, if he's going to, like, be conscious, or is he just going to be like a pet?
Yeah, we heard the traditional, like, Yoshi sound effect, didn't we? Or something like that, I think.
Yeah, we did.
So maybe that implies he's just going to be, like, you know, just like a mount, a horse sort of thing, you know, where he's just going to be an animal and make those Yoshi noises. Or maybe they're going to announce in the direct he's being voiced by Danny DeVito or something. You never know. It'll be interesting. But are there any other hopes you want for this inevitable next film, Kai? Any sort of other characters you want to return, or any story ideas you have?
I mean, I don't want to repeat what everyone has said about a whole Smash or like Nintendo Cinematic Universe, because everyone's talked about that. Everyone knows that it would be a cool idea, but realistically it's not really probably going to happen. But a Mario movie sequel is definitely on the cards, and it is interesting how it will branch out from there, with people saying DK movies and Luigi Mansion movies.
Yeah.
I think in a Mario movie sequel, though, I guess I would just like more references to more obscure things this time round. You know, I want your Mario and Luigi series, your Paper Mario, things like that. Because in the final sequence of the game where Mario and Luigi got the Superstar, I was really hoping, for some reason, and I don't know why this came to mind, but I wanted them to do one of the bro moves from Superstar Saga.
That would have been cool. That would have been great, yeah.
And I did like how similar, but yeah.
They did I like how they took Bowser out the traditional Mario 64 way, spinning him with the tail. But yeah, that would have been a nice addition. Yeah, I thought that's
just more of that basically. Like, have the cast go to like Delfino Plaza for 20 minutes of the story, and have Mario go into the galaxy or something in a dream. I don't know, like, yeah, just doing more of what they've already done is all I would really want.
I definitely agree. I think they don't really need to do much to make it entertaining, other than just throwing more references at us. I do feel like plot-wise, seeing as Bowser's captured, maybe this is a time to bring in like the Koopa kids and Bowser Jr. Like they come and rescue him or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That would make sense for next villain. Assuming they didn't want to go something more obscure and go with, I don't know, what other Mario villains are there? There aren't that many. Something like Forful from the Mario RPGs or something ridiculous.
Yeah,
they wouldn't.
My mind went to Dementio, which is like a deep cut. There's some things they could do like that, but ultimately I get the feeling it will be another rendition of Bowser.
Yes.
Possibly they do something with like DK, where DK is like corrupted by evil in some form. But I don't think they'd go that route. I feel like they addressed DK as a character already, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's plenty they can... Although, like we said, Yoshi's the main outlier, there are still so... Yeah. Mario has such a large roster of characters. Daisy, Wario, Waluigi and whatnot. Toadette, get in there. There's so many more they could add in there. That we could get so many films and them not run out of content. So I think, no matter what, we are set. Without them even needing to do Nintendo verse, but... Even outside of the Nintendo, making a Smash Bros. Universe, do you think this will prompt more Nintendo films, even if not connected? And what do you think might be next on the cards if they do?
Realistically, I don't think yet. I mean, my opinion may change on this in like a year or two when the next Mario movie does start happening. I don't think anytime soon we're going to see any other big Nintendo movies, though. I think that there's a lot of potential, like a lot of potential for a Legend of Zelda movie.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of that, and like, the Mario universe stuff like Luigi's Mansion and DK, I think the only other one I can really see potential on is actually just, like, if they were to go and make a full-on horror movie for Metroid, I think would be really cool.
That would be amazing.
I don't think they're going to do it, but, like... for example, I don't think there's going to be a Kirby movie. But I just can't see it working. I would love it. I'm sure they could make it work, but I don't think they're going to do it. And anything obscurer than that, I can only imagine how they try and make a Fire Emblem game based on the 20 that have released. And a Xenoblade movie would have to be a trilogy of just for the first game alone. And the only series I can really see working are Legend of Zelda and Metroid at a stretch. So I'm not going to get my hopes up past that. I can headcanon all I want, but realistically, I think that's it.
I've got to say, I do, as much as I'd love to see some more stuff, I do think you're right. I think we're going to stick to the Mario universe and said spin-offs, like you say, Donkey Kong and Luigi, and maybe getting their own stuff, that kind of thing. But I think it will stick within the Mario verse.
Yeah.
But I also think that the success of this has got to make them start thinking about other stuff. Like they've got to be taking note. And even if not big movies, I hope that at least maybe they do something like a short like Zelda anime series or something like that. Would be neat. Stuff like how they made the Kid Icarus shorts and how great they were. Kid Icarus would make a great series. So there's, even though I don't think they're all going to go, we're going to suddenly get 20 big blockbuster Mario films and Nintendo films coming out over the next 4 years or whatever. I do hope this gets them thinking on what more they could do with their properties, and maybe we start seeing some other stuff, but I suppose time will tell. And obviously, the moment anything gets announced, we will be discussing it here on BunchaJokahs. Yes. But that's probably a good segue into the end, Kai, unless you have any final thoughts on the Super Mario Bros. Movie before we end off?
I guess I can say my only real complaint about it is that everything went very quickly. I felt like every scene could be like 3 times as long and have development. I feel like things like, for example, the lore of Peach could be expanded on and things like that. But ultimately, I'm just looking forward to a sequel where we can see characters like Daisy, Wario, Pauline might get more focus. We can learn about Peach's backstory and all these different things, everything in there. I'm just looking forward to them doing a second movie because they did their best with this first one, and I was really impressed.
Absolutely, yeah. It was just overall just a really enjoyable, fun film. That's what it came down to. It was fun and it
Yeah.
was very respectable to the source material, which is the main two things it needed to be. So very very pleased with the results, and hopefully this continues with more. And I think we'll probably mention it in the podcast, our next main podcast, whatever the sales numbers are up to by that point. But it's breaking records all around, so we are getting more.
Yeah.
But that does bring us to the end. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And Kai, where else can people find you at?
They can find me at twitch.tv/Fascurreyn, where I'm playing through Inazuma 11 2 at the moment. That's about it, really.
Yeah, there will be a link in the description to that, so definitely go check it out and join in. Of course, you know, Level 5's getting the resurgence, so if you want a bit of an update on the Inazuma 11 before the new game comes out, and there's your place to check it out. And of course, a big thanks to our friend Sam, who does our graphic design work for the channel, makes our logo and all the thumbnails. Thank you once again, Sam. And thank you to all of you for watching and with us. Of course, we'll have more content, a monthly podcast at the first Sunday of each month, discussing any big Nintendo news, like any other future movie information, as well as different gameplay series and discussions on topics like Tears of the Kingdom upcoming. There's going to be a lot of stuff to discuss, so do stay tuned for all of that here on BunchaJokahs on YouTube, or audio-only versions on Spotify and other podcasting sites. But until then, that's about it. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye.